Good afternoon. This is Raven Nall. I am a contracting officer within the pre-award division here at Huntsville Center, and I will also be serving as the contracting officer for the UMCS 5 acquisition. Moving to the next slide. These are the government representatives that are here today and that are the main PDT or project delivery team members for this acquisition. In addition to the members listed on this slide, we also have present in the room today with us Ms. Susan Parsons. She is a contracting officer and a branch chief for the UMCS, well, for the electronic technology branch at Huntsville Center, and she is over the UMCS 4 acquisition. We also have with us two business advisors from the pre-award division, Tanya Thomas and Brooklyn Weary. We have with us Wesley Malone. He is the program manager for UMCS. And then we also have with us another business advisor from the pre-award division, Veronica Hannes, and Tanja Butler, a contracting officer and division chief of the pre-award division here at Huntsville Center. And she was also responsible for putting the former UMCS 4 acquisition in place. So we're very dedicated to this acquisition. We're excited about this virtual industry day. We really request your feedback on how it goes. This is our first time trying to do a web meeting industry day. So we really would appreciate any feedback that you can give us regarding the format for this industry day. Moving on to our next slide, just the rules of engagement. First, we request that everyone mute your phone throughout the presentation. Anything that's discussed in this virtual industry day is subject to change. For instance, we will have a Q&A session. However, we will be submitting or issuing the formal Q&A responses after the industry day is completed. So we will give you some responses today to some of your questions, but just know that they're subject to change, as well as the planned acquisition approach or PWS or anything that we speak to today regarding this industry day. Again, we're looking for your input. This is the first time that we've done this acquisition. We also want your input on our planned acquisition approach, your input on if you're a current MATOC holder for UMCS 4, if you have any input on what we can do to make this acquisition better, we're open to those suggestions as well. Because this industry day is for you, so we want to make sure that you understand this requirement and that we can get any buy-in that you may want to give us for the follow-on UMCS 5 acquisition. The presentation for today, the survey that we're going to issue after the industry day, the presentation slides and the attendees list will be posted on fbo.gov after the industry day by the 10th of April. That is our deadline to get it posted. I also request that in the web AT&T meeting, when we get to the Q&A portion, or if you have any questions throughout the industry day, we request that you submit those questions in the web AT&T comment section. We're going to try to address those during the Industry Day Q&A session. However, we also request that you submit questions to the UMCS email inbox, because those are the questions we're going to also pull to respond to in our formal responses that will be posted on fbo.gov. And that email inbox is UMCS-5 or capital V at usace.army.mil. Next slide. So this is the agenda of the items that we're going to discuss today. We're going to give you an overview of Huntsville Center, an overview of the UMCS program, its mission. We're also going to give you an overview of the services that are expected under this acquisition, as well as the planned acquisition approach. We're going to give you a brief overview of the small business, some tips that you can take with you throughout this acquisition, as well as have a Q&A session and a wrap-up. Although we're going to have a Q&A session here at this virtual industry day, if you have any additional questions after the industry day, please feel free to email those to the UMCS email inbox as well, because we will be open to additional feedback and questions after this virtual industry day. Okay, next slide. Now we're going to go into the USACE mission.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matthew Thompson. You've heard me speaking in the background with the AT&T folks up to this point, but I am the UMCS Project Management Branch Chief. Many of you are familiar with USACE, but many of you are not. Many of you have worked with our organization here in Huntsville or potentially other districts throughout the country and potentially in overseas locations. So what I want to do in the first few slides is to give everyone an overview of the USACE missions, types of major missions we have in its entirety, and then drill down into how the UMCS program fits within that overall structure. So again, the first few slides are really talking about the overall USACE mission. So as background, a little bit on the history of USACE, the Corps began more than 200 years ago when Congress established the Continental Army with the provision for a chief engineer in 1775. Army established the Corps of Engineers as a separate permanent branch back in 1802. Since then, the Army Corps of Engineers has responded to changing defense requirements and played an integral part in development of the country. A few interesting facts about the Corps of Engineers. We're the nation's #1 federal provider of outdoor recreation. We're the nation's environmental engineer. We own and operate more than 600 dams, maintain 926 coastal, Great Lakes, and inland harbors, own and operate 24% of U.S. hydropower capacity, or 3% of the total U.S. electric capacity. We support Army and Air Force installations and other DoD installations throughout the world, provide technical and construction support to more than 100 countries, manage Army military construction program, and we research and develop technologies to protect the nation's environment and enhance quality of life. So on this slide, it goes over a high-level view of some of the missions done within USACE. I'm going to talk briefly about some of the missions that are listed on here and how they impact us here specifically in the overall organization. So the first one talking through is a military mission. Through military missions, we provide engineering, construction, real estate, stability operations, environmental management products and services for the Army, Air Force, and assigned U.S. government agencies and foreign governments. USACE workforce is spread across the U.S. and more than 91 foreign countries. We provide engineering expertise throughout the world. Some of the major missions on the military mission is military construction for Army, supporting Air Force and other DoD agencies. Environmental side, having the mission for formerly used defense sites programs, munitions response, cleanup, and environmental quality support to Army and BRAC installations. Real estate, we're the DoD executive agent for real estate. International and interagency, or IIS is what it's often referred to as. Services, such as supporting the Environmental Protection Agency, Department of State, and over 90 countries. IIS is the Corps of Engineers program providing technical assistance to non-Department of Defense federal agencies, state and local governments, international organizations, and foreign governments. With contingency support or emergency support, USACE has the lead for the global war on terror and reconstruction infrastructure work. We support both warfighting and disaster relief operations by responding to local, national, and global disasters with technical engineering, contingency planning, and contract construction support capabilities. And finally, installation support. Meeting military mission requirements, supporting world-class, sustainable, and resilient installations where our soldiers call home. We develop and maintain installation support capabilities for public works activities at all levels of the Army and other services. And that's really where the UMCS MATOC predominantly falls under for the type of support that we provide is through installation support. Another major mission, civil works. It's a major component of the Corps of Engineers. The civil works program includes water resource development activities, which includes flood risk management, navigation, recreation, and infrastructure and environmental stewardship. Those who aren't involved with the Corps of Engineers on military installations, the locks, dams, the civil works resources is probably what you're most familiar with as the face of the Corps. And then finally, research and development. This program directorate creates and shapes policy and performs strategic planning, direction, and oversight of research and development for the Corps military and civil works programs and for the warfighter. They advise the Chief of Engineers on matters of science and technology. So that's the overview slide. Moving to the next one, provides an overall organizational structure of USACE. USACE is a 3-star command headquartered out of Washington, D.C., and the top level chart represents our headquarters. And the top line, moving from Great Lakes and Ohio River Division through Southwestern Division, represents the divisions and their subordinate districts that fall under each of those divisions. One of the unique things about how Huntsville is different from many divisions and districts is their boundaries. Just a quick format on this slide is the blue represents, and it states it in the bottom, the blue represents predominantly a civil works mission. So most of the districts in Great Lakes and Ohio River Division are civil works because of the waterways and watersheds that fall within that area. The brown represents either a predominantly military mission supporting military installations, or they may have a combined military and civil works mission within that respective district. So moving through, you can see for each of the areas, it lists the districts that are subordinate to each of the major each of the divisions that are listed there, and they are organized by geographical boundary. For the most part, the civil works districts are separated by watershed or waterways. The military footprint is not necessarily aligned by that type of geographical feature, but they have a designated footprint for the installations that they support within their geographical area, and that is their primary area of responsibility for support. Now, when you follow the green line down from headquarters down to the bottom block, which states Engineering and Support Center Huntsville, that is our organization here, or what we refer to as CEHNC is our acronym for our organization. We'll talk about that a little more. So what makes Huntsville unique is that we house many specialty programs within our organization, that there's just not the requirement or need to have the technical level of expertise in some of the niche programs distributed to all the districts and divisions throughout USACE. So what does that mean overall? Well, that means that programs such as the UMCS, we have the requirement to be able to support USACE, Army, and other DoD agencies throughout the world. So many districts have a geographic constraint for the area they can operate in. There are some exceptions to that, but Huntsville Center and some of the programs here have truly a global reach for the locations and types of customers that they can support. Next slide. So the next slide was just recently updated, I believe as of about a week ago. I don't believe our website is even updated as of yet. The command had a offsite several weeks ago and revised the center mission and vision. I'll go over that here right now. So the Huntsville Center mission, the Army Engineering and Support Center Huntsville provides specialized technical expertise, global engineering solutions, and cutting-edge innovations through centrally managed programs in support of national interests. And then our vision, certified professional workforce with an expeditionary mindset capable of pioneering solutions to unique, complex, and high-risk missions and strengthened partnership with the USACE enterprise, key DoD stakeholders, and our strategic allies. All right, slide. So now we'll be going into the mission benefits and background. Now, so the slide we're on is UMCS mission. What I want to make everyone aware of is how we are structured here, specifically on the program and the division within Huntsville Center that utilizes this vehicle. There are predominantly 3 separate branches within what we call the Electronic Technology Division that utilize the UMCS MATOC. The first one and primary user is UMCS, Utility Monitoring Control Systems branch. Second one is the Army Metering Program branch. And finally, the Electronic Security Systems branch, or ESS branch. We'll go into a little bit of information on each of those programs for the background on that. Now, we also have the ability to provide capacity on our MATOC to other districts throughout the Corps of Engineers. It is something that is not done frequently because of the expertise required for them to be able to execute projects, UMCS types of projects, but that is another source that sometimes puts out task orders, delivery orders on our MATOCs. So the UMCS mission our program at the Engineering Support Center Huntsville, or CEHNC as I referred to previously, we provide design, procurement, and installation services of electronic data acquisition and control systems to include UMCS, SCADA, or Supervisor Control and Data Acquisitions, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or HVAC systems, alternative energy systems, fire and life safety systems, building automation systems, or BAS, and other electronic systems. Now, we also have the ability and maintain the mechanical systems that are connected to all of these controls, and that is a key component. But one of the things that you'll see mentioned throughout the mission statement I just read is the focus on system. Building automation system, fire and life safety systems, HVAC systems. That is the primary thing we are looking for, is technical experts that have the ability to put the controls in place to maintain the facility or facilities in accordance with the user mission. So that is one thing that we really focus on, and why this vehicle, why we reach out to controls specialties on this MATOC and not general contractors. We're looking for controls specialists, for ESS specialists to be the primes on this type of contractor, have the ability to reach out to those types of individuals. So our PDT, or product delivery team, provides an integrated and dedicated team of experts in project management, project engineering, and contract management for each project to ensure quality projects on time and within budget to our customers. Our PDT is supported by the UMCS Mandatory Center of Expertise, or MCX, to provide consistent and current technical application of these systems and application of approved information assurance measures for connectivity solutions. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about the MCX or UMCS shortly, but one of the things that's unique about our MCX is that there's a requirement within USACE for any project that is undertaken by USACE, whether it's a MILCON project or an O&M funded type of repair project. If there's a controls element, there is a requirement by Army Corps of Engineers regulation, or engineering regulation, ER, to come back and utilize our MCX to review the control specifications, submittals, those types of things. That does not necessarily require that different districts utilize us to put a specific contract or task order in place to support that requirement, but at a minimum, they're required to come back to us. And what that normally means is they predominantly come back to us to actually execute that type of work for the most part. There are some exceptions, but I wanted to put that in the framework because that is a key thing that we may ensure that we are on the same page with other core districts and our customers about the technical capabilities that we have internally with our own staff and our contractors. Slide. Next program we'll be speaking about is the Electronic Security Systems, or ESS program. Their overall mission: provide full range of electronic security system support and services to the U.S. government agencies worldwide. They also have a mandatory center of expertise that was chartered back in 1983, and they are mandated by an Army regulation, or AR 190-13. They also have an engineering regulation within USACE that's listed that defines the responsibilities for the MCX here. But ultimately, they provide expertise to deliver ESS for the Army, Department of Defense, and other federal agencies. And the last program we'll be speaking about before we go into more detail on UMCS is the Army Metering Program, or what we refer to as AMP, and their mission. Army installation facility energy and water use will be metered as directed and incorporated into energy monitoring systems to provide effective, accurate, and compliant collection and reporting for timely energy management and accountability. USACE is the Army Program Manager for the Army Central Metering Program per Executive Order 28-12. Huntsville Center manages and executes the Army program and projects. It rolled out in really two primary phases, the first being to comply with Energy Policy Act, or EPAC 2005. With that came the requirements to meter facilities, electric utilities, where economically viable, broken up into facilities of 29,000 square feet or greater, had utilized 35,000 or greater annual energy cost, or it was a tenant facility. Then phase 2 was released with fragmentary order, or FRAGO 2, was approved and released Army-wide in January 2015 for the next round of metering, which includes natural gas, water, and steam. Now, one of the things that's different about the metering program is that it's a centrally funded program from Army. So Army sets the requirements overall, provides the funding stream directly to them for one source of funding to be able to execute based on Army's priorities. With UMCS and ESS, the difference is they are project funded at the installation or customer level on the eaches. So that is one difference in how those are funded. Next slide identifies some of the UMCS benefits. For those who aren't familiar with a lot of detail on what UMCSs are and what they can do, it's a key element to an energy efficient facility, bottom line. If properly designed, installed, and maintained, the UMCS ensures energy efficient operation of the facility by monitoring, controlling, and tracking energy consumption. These systems allow the facility or energy manager to automate the implementation of application programs to optimize energy usage. Today's UMCS technology can perform real-time analysis and control at the device level. Sophisticated software can capture and trend data and prepare energy usage reports tailored to meet users' needs. UMCS is also useful for operations and maintenance of monitored equipment and provides visual screens of operation and alarms and detection of malfunction or abnormalities. But bottom line, UMCS systems can save both energy dollars and O&M dollars for our customers and ultimately the taxpayer. So more on our background. The MCX was chartered back in 1981. It was a response to multiple failed systems that were installed for the government and litigation court cases that resulted from that. The MCX was developed to design criteria, specifications, and testing procedures that resulted overall in successful UMCS projects. Now, something about nomenclature, we'll often hear systems referred to as EMCS, UMCS. We adopted the UMCS nomenclature back in 1991 to include all utilities for energy environmental savings opportunities, not just necessarily the energy side. So that's where our program originated the UMCS name specifically, and now there's more of a motion moving towards the larger umbrella of industrial control systems, which seems like everything's moving more to the trend along that nature. Now, some of the customers that we have, the next slide gives some of the primary customers that we're dealing with right now. Now, what's unique about us, again, as I mentioned on the organizational chart, is that we do not have geographical boundaries. When our previous MATOC was awarded, we had certain countries where known requirements were listed. But we also have the ability to add additional requirements, additional locations as they become known. So when this solicitation ultimately comes out, it may have a set number of countries listed, and as additional ones become potentially after the award for individual task orders, we have the ability to add them at that time, which is unique and a very flexible contract vehicle for us to utilize to meet the requirements of all the different customers we have. We can support all government agencies, the primary one obviously being with Army and other service components, but we support Army, Navy, Marines, Defense Health Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency, DLA, Department of Veterans Affairs, National Security Agency, and Department of State. Those are some of the primary ones that we're supporting right now. We've supported other ones in the past, but just to put it in perspective, we have a little over 200 active task orders for my program alone, and that does not even include the ESS or the metering program in those numbers. So why utilize our MATOC? This is something to take away for the audience here, and this is something that we talk to our customer base at the installation, the actual users and the that generate the requirements for our services ultimately. So we can provide direct and immediate services to any government agency, which there's not a lot of vehicles out there. Certainly within USACE, they have the ability to do that on the as quickly as we can respond. We provide a full range of UMCS, ESS products and services delivered and installed worldwide. Our products and services acquired under expedited federal contracting and procurement processes that result in lower acquisition costs. The major effort in putting this place is the base contracts for this vehicle. Once those are in place, they're much quicker to put the individual orders in, the individual awards at the task order level. We also have a pre-qualified pool of contractors that perform to meet Corps of Engineers and industry standards in compliance with United Facility Guide specifications. Now, as I talked on the previous slide, our focus is on the system and a holistic view of operation, sequencing, and integration of the controls for the facilities and the overall infrastructure of that installation to operate effectively. So that's where we're really looking at the pre-qualified pool of the controls and the security type vendors that bring those capabilities to the table to be the primary resource for our acquisitions. Our individual task orders are quick to acquire. 60 to 90 days from the project initiation to project start. Now, that varies depending on the complexity, the dollar value of the potential award, but that is not an unreasonable time frame for us to be able to make an award once the requirement is solidified. And then finally, existing staff within our organization that has TS, SCI clearances to assist with sensitive work. And we also have the ability to complete DD-254s on at the task order level for our contractors that allows them to complete classified or work in sensitive areas as well. So this next slide, the UMCS product delivery team for task order execution, this is a sample or essentially the structure for the UMCS program. ESS is structured very similarly, ESS as well. But the Electronic Technology Division falls under the Program and Project Management Directorate here within Huntsville Center. I'm the chief of the UMCS Project Management Branch, and all the program manager and project managers for UMCS falls underneath my purview. We also have a dedicated contracting team within there are two contracting divisions that support the execution of contracts and task orders within the center. We have a dedicated branch chief for that, and the contracting officer, team leads, contract specialists, and other contracting officers fall within their purview. We also have a dedicated engineering team, project engineers, cybersecurity, information assurance specialists fall within our engineering directorate, and the Mandatory Center of Expertise, which I referred to previously. We also have a full suite of other support from cost estimation, resource management, Office of Counsel, safety, small business, all those additional ancillary elements that are required for us to execute our work. We have the ability and maintain those capabilities within house. Slide. So services provided. The next few slides go over the typical types of service that we provide overall from our contract vehicles. Master planning, survey design, procurement and installation, or P&I is what we refer to it as often, and maintenance and service, or M&S. So maintenance and service to include preventive maintenance and corrective maintenance, which is a growing line of business within not only Huntsville Center, but within the Corps of Engineers in general. As public works activities continue to lose funding or have personnel turnover due to retirements not being able to secure requisite personnel to maintain the systems in place, they're looking for alternative means to maintain their installations that are becoming more technically advanced. And we offer those types of vehicles to support controls. There's also other programs in the building to maintain other installation type of support that's required. But that is something that we have seen steadily grow over the past few years, and we believe that will continue to move in that direction. We also provide commissioning and retro commissioning, system test and evaluation, IA, information assurance, connectivity solutions, and accreditations. And one thing to clarify, there's a couple of different mechanisms to obtain accreditations. We typically approach it in one of two directions. It can either be a standalone task order that supports in the government getting accreditation for that system, or an accreditation may be done in conjunction with the procure and install task order. If we were upgrading a number of controls on an installation or within a certain footprint, we may add a requirement to support the accreditation effort for that particular system. Now, contractors don't get the accreditation. They support the customer in getting the accreditation through documentation, artifacts, all the supporting documentation, and some of the hardware changes potentially that may be required to get the system accreditable. Development of criteria, such as technical and performance specifications, technical manuals, etc., some things that we provide, and training. Not only training that's associated with maybe equipment that's installed, but as I mentioned before, as installations have personnel turnover, they may have lost their subject matter experts in being able to operate their systems and look for a mechanism to get SMEs in place to be able to train their personnel. And our contract vehicles offer that ability to do that. Next slide. Moving into the types of procure and install and maintenance and service requirements that we can support. Common systems are listed in this slide, such as building automation systems, doing controls upgrades, repair and replacement, integration of those controls to a front-end system, where a new one is installed or an existing one is in place. For HVAC systems, with chiller and boiler repair and replacement, controls associated with those. Air and water system repair and replacement. Fire and life safety system, doing fire detection and alarms. Smoke control and chemical biological detection are items that we offer. And then for supervisory control and data acquisition systems, being able to support electric, water, gas, oil distribution, and wastewater treatment are projects that we have done in the past. Utility meters from electric, which is what we primarily focused on in the past, and moving more into an emphasis on gas and water, and then alternative energy solutions. And then finally, electronic security systems and all the components thereof that make that system up. So I know that was a very quick run through the overall types of support that we provide, but I hope that it gave you a high-level picture of the USACE organization, where UMCS, ESS, and the metering program fit within that, and the types of services that we provide to our end users, and that we count on our contractors, our qualified pool of vendors, to be able to partner with us in meeting our end user requirements. So with that said, I will turn the next slide over to Ms. LaShonda Smith.
How you doing? Thank you, everybody. Okay, for this acquisition approach, the government anticipates using NAICS code 541512, which is Computer Systems Design Services, and the size standard is 27.5 million. We also anticipate this to be a 7-year contract ordering period versus the 5-year ordering period on UMCS 4. The anticipated capacity will be 2.75 billion and will be shared among all MATOC holders. The MATOC is to include a small business set-aside and will allow small businesses to propose on all competitive task orders. Next slide. So now we have another acquisition approach. The government anticipates using staggered awards. Basically, staggered awards allows the government to award multiple award indefinite delivery vehicle contracts to all qualified and responsible offers initially, and then to be established a competitive range of those remaining offers with a reasonable chance of receiving an award following a round of discussions. The intent of Staggered Awards is to facilitate an acquisition environment that benefits both the government and vendor community. So I have an example for you to make it more clear. Okay, so here's the example. The government receives and evaluates 5 contract proposals, of which 2 proposals are initially determined to be awardable without discussions. These 2 contractors receive the base award. The government then determines the competitive range for the remaining 3 contractor proposals and hold discussions for those remaining in the competitive range. The later awarded contracts will be a base period of performance that will be less than the initial awarded contracts. However, all awarded base contracts will end at the same time.
And this is Raven Nall, I'm the contracting officer. One thing about Staggered Awards is that it's important that offerers submit their best proposal up front. Because what having the ability to do Staggered Awards, if the government anticipates or wants to award, say, 10 contracts under this MATOC, if we have 10 offerers that have proposals that are awardable without discussions, we have the right to not have discussions. So we may be that if you get it right the first time, we award those 10 contractors, and then that's it. We won't hold discussion. So it's not a fact. It's not a fact that we are going to always hold discussions. And I know we typically hold discussions, but with the ability to do Staggered Awards, it could be a case of where you will not get an opportunity to revise your proposal to make it better. So with Staggered Awards, it's very important that you provide your best proposal up front and don't expect that I'll have an opportunity to correct something later. They know what I do. They know how I perform, so I have an opportunity to correct my proposal later on. It's best to do your best work up front. I just want to throw that. Okay.
So if Staggered Awards are used, I just want to give a couple of notes. Following the initial awards, all other contractors will be notified of their status in a timely manner. This includes the competitive range for discussions or eliminated from the competition. Also, the government intends to begin issuing task orders before all base awards are completed. Staggered Award.
Just to chime in on what LaShonda said, another benefit to those offers that get it right the first time is that once you're awarded a contract, we can still be going through the acquisition process for those contractors that we do have to hold discussions with. But on the post-award side, or Susan's team, they can be requirements in the house that Susan can go ahead and do task orders to say those offerers that got it right the first time and they're awarded a contract, they can begin working under UMCS 5 while we're still going through the negotiation process for the remaining contractors who may not have got their proposal right the first time. So that's another benefit to those offers that really try to sharpen their pencil and get their proposals right the first time. Sorry, LaShonda.
You're fine. You're fine. And also, the most important, Staggered Awards can only be issued in multiple award vehicles when at least 2 awards can be made in the initial round. So if we only have 1 contractor proposal that is awardable, we won't be able to do Staggered Awards. Okay, next slide.
So another concept that we're adding to this acquisition that was also included in the UMCS 4 acquisition is the ability to do on and off ramps after the contract is awarded. If you notice, the previous UMCS 4 acquisition had a 5-year ordering period. So with longer ordering periods as this, with the 7-year ordering period, we want to make sure that we're not limiting competition for 7 years under this requirement. So we want to have the ability to on-ramp contractors throughout the life of this acquisition to make sure that we have that good competition pool that we need for these requirements. So we will have the ability for the team to do on-ramping. We'll also have the ability to do an off-ramp, and an off-ramp will just be executed via not exercising an option for that particular contractor. And some of the reasons for doing the off-ramp may be that the contractors are just there. They're not proposing on contracts or on task orders. They're just kind of there holding the place. Maybe they're underperforming. Because the main thing with the MATOC is that we want to make sure that we have that good competition. So if we have contractors on the pool who are not performing, it may be in the government's best interest to off-ramp those contractors and bring on new contractors to meet this requirement, because as you know, the government does not, or the contracting officer does not have the right, or they don't have to exercise option, period. So that's how off-ramps will be executed. But again, we do want to make sure we have robust competition in this MATOC, so we will be utilizing the ability to do on-ramping. Now, when we do on-ramping later on, the contractors will have to propose to those same requirements that were listed in this initial solicitation. So there won't be any changes. It'll just be those same requirements, the same acquisition approach. We won't change anything for those contractors that are on-ramped. But that is another approach that we're taking, again, like the UMCS 4 with this acquisition.
Okay, so I just have a couple of notes that I want you to remind you about. In the dormant status, it can only be used once during the life of the contract. The time period for dormant status cannot exceed 12 months. So you could request dormant status and have it for like 24 weeks or 6 months, but you just can't exceed 12 months. And only one application can be submitted at any time during the life of the contract. So I have a couple of examples of justifications for a request for dormant status. And that could be the contractor is at a workload capacity. They just can't handle any more work. Contractor has had a substantial change in the workforce or resources available, or the contractor's company has been restructured. Those are some of the things that a contracting officer will probably approve for a dormant status. And now I'm turning it over to Nicole for small business.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Nicole Boone, and I'm out of the Office of Small Business Programs here. I just have a couple of tips I want to relay to the small businesses. First of all, that slide right there is SAM, System for Award Management. You want to make sure that you're registered in SAM and that your registration is current. Be sure that your reps and certs are updated, as well as your NAICS codes. If you're not registered in SAM, you will not be eligible for an award, and that is non-negotiable. You will not be eligible for award. So what I'm saying in that is, if you're going through the process with your proposals and such, that's fine. But when it comes time for award, if you are not registered, you will not be eligible for award. You want to make sure that your NAICS codes are up to date and relevant to your core capabilities. Now with that said, I want to go to the next slide. NAICS codes. Here we have a Small Business Administration. There's a website that's listed there. I want you to note that. The U.S. Department of Census Bureau is actually the ones that do our NAICS codes, but the SBA has a listing of the NAICS codes married with the size standards, and that's relevant to you because it changes. So you want to look at this listing periodically, I would say at least annually. For instance, this particular NAICS code for this acquisition is 541512, computer system design, at $27.5 million. What that dollar amount means is that the size standard for that particular NAICS code, the average annual receipts is that dollar amount or below. So if you're at that dollar amount or below, based upon this list, SBA says you are a small business. Again, you want to look at that at least annually because these do change. In fact, there was an update on February 26, 2016. So for those of you who may have been on some of the older USMC generations, note the change because things do change. I want to give you one note and then I'm done talking. If you have questions related to this acquisition where small business is concerned, forward those questions through the proper channels, not directly to our office. We want to maintain the integrity of this acquisition. Right now, there's a UMCS inbox that's been established. Upon release of the RFP, there will be a specific point of contact that will be listed there. Of course, if you have any general small business questions, you can direct that to our office. That's going to be sbo-hnc@usace.army.mil. I'm going to repeat that. That's sbo-hnc@usace.army.mil. .mil. With that, thank you.
Okay, this is Raven Nall. Now we're going to get into our question and answer session of the Industry Day. First, we would ask that if you have a particular question, you can either type your name in the web meeting or the actual question in the web meeting for us to respond to. And as I stated earlier, we also request that you submit any questions to the UMCS 5 email inbox. And as you submit those questions, for the subject, state whether it's a contracting question, a small business question, a technical question, so that way we can know how to organize the questions to get it to the right person to respond to. So at this time, we will begin taking any questions regarding the content presented today or regarding this acquisition.
All right, stand by. I'm going to unmute the line for everyone.
This is TW. LaShonda TW Williams.
All right, go ahead, TW.
Hey, what's the date that the UMCS 5 contract will be rolled out, and when does UMCS start?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, what date is this contract supposed to be actually rolled out? When?
Do you mean the solicitation?
Yeah, the solicitation. Yeah.
So we're expecting that the solicitation will be issued the third quarter of FY18.
18?
Yes, FY18 third quarter, around August. The next question requesting us to explain the Staggered Awards further. To break down Staggered Awards again, once we issue the solicitation and we receive proposals, at that time we go into evaluating the proposals. Upon evaluating the proposals, the government will determine if there is a need to go into discussions or negotiations with contractors, or if we have contractors that sharpen their pencils and they have a proposal that's awardable without discussions or negotiations. So at the time we have, as LaShonda stated, if we have at least 2 or more contractors, because we want to make sure we have that competition, if we have 2 or more contractors that have a proposal after evaluation that is awardable without discussions, we can go through the process of executing a contract award to those contractors. For the remaining contractors, the government will then establish a competitive range to go into discussions with the offers that are not awardable without discussions. So if a contractor receives an award via a staggered award, they then at that time, once their contract is executed, they will have the ability to begin working requirements under the UMCS 5 acquisition. The remaining contractors who, for whatever reason, the government needs to go into discussions with those contractors, the timeline at that point will probably be, of course, longer than the ones that were able to be awardable without discussions. And then we'll have to go through the process of holding discussions with those offerers, receiving a revised proposal, evaluating those revised proposals, and then considering the path forward from there. So it's an extensive period of time, longer for the contractors that will have to be, that we will have to have discussions with. If we decide to have discussions, because as we stated before, with the ability to have staggered awards, if the plan is to have 10 contract awardees, and we have 10 contractors that have sharpened their pencils and they're awardable without discussions, we can award to those 10 contractors and not even hold discussions or establish a competitive range with the remaining contractors. So that's why it's very important that you put your best foot forward up front, because with staggered awards, we can award without discussions. The next question is, can you please confirm the total number of expected awards? At this time, we don't have a total number of expected awards. We are still in the market research phase, so we're still gathering that information. However, it will be posted in our solicitation, our expected number of contract awards.
Currently, we have 13 total awards on UMCS 4, which is the current MATOC we're utilizing. I believe it's 8 unrestricted and 5 restricted vendors is that we're utilizing right now.
Okay. Let's see, next question. The next question is there an 8A component of this procurement? Again, at this time, we're in the market research phase. And we do know that we want to do a small business set aside. We haven't determined further whether it'll be an 8A set aside or an unrestricted set aside or just a total small business set aside, but we do know there will be a set aside portion for small businesses under this acquisition. Next question, can you please tell us how many contractors will be awarded contracts? We already discussed that. We haven't determined that yet, but it will be issued or listed in the solicitation. Can a contractor propose as a prime and also submit a proposal as a subcontractor to a different prime? Yes. We have had situations where contractors can submit as a prime and then also submit as a sub for another prime contractor. Next question. My company has partnered with a company that has developed a hydrocarbon remediation product that has great efficiencies when compared to current products. How can I introduce this project to USACE?
Typically, you'd have, if there's a new product, it would be in response to a requirement. And if there's an innovative solution to meet a requirement from one of our customers, and we have a defined type of answer we're looking for, or specific requirement, a vendor could propose the standard solution recommended by the government potentially, and they could also propose an alternative solution. Outside of that, really, it could be communicating with the different customers and installations about that type of technology that's available to let them know what type of need that meets. But that's really the primary mechanisms that come to mind. Did you have something, Raven?
Yes, and also contractors can always propose an unsolicited proposal to the government. That proposal will just have to state the benefit and why it is a need for the government. Next question. Will there be specified sections or place of performances contractors can request, i.e. based on Texas, work in DC may not be cost feasible? At this time, we typically do not allow, or for the UMCS may talk historical, there hasn't been where a contractor can say, I only want to propose to provide requirements in Texas. However, based on when those task orders come out, those contractors can propose for those requirements. However, the contractors will have to demonstrate their ability to perform these requirements in all of the specified places of performance in that solicitation. So if it's the United States to include Germany, Italy, and Japan, those contractors have to demonstrate that ability to perform these requirements in those locations to be put on this MATOC as an awardee. You have to be able to perform the full scope of the requirement. Next question, how many small businesses are currently on UMCS 4 contract? As Matt mentioned, currently there are five small businesses? Mm-hmm. Currently there are 5 small businesses on the UMCS 4 MATOC. Next question, what are the security requirements on this contract? Will a proposed prime need to have that level of clearance prior to award? Speak to that.
Yeah. Well, we had briefly mentioned this earlier, I believe, and there'd be more information obviously when the solicitation comes out, but we have the ability to incorporate DD-254s for individual awards that require a clearance to go with that, but the precursor to that is for the individual contractor to have a facility clearance, and typically if they don't have one at the time of award, you may not have that until the actual task order is issued that requires a potentially secret or top secret requirement. So that doesn't specifically answer your question, but it should not preclude you if you do not have a facility clearance at the time of solicitation when this comes out.
So the next question, will this contract be cost plus fixed fee, firm fixed price, time and material, etc.? At this time, we are planning to do a total firm fixed price MATOC for this requirement. I know the former UMCS did have T&M and a cost component, but for the follow-on UMCS 5, we plan to just do firm fixed price. And we also, one thing that we're going to add to this contract is the ability for over and above work. That's stated in the DFAR. So that is something that's going to be a new element to this. And with over and above work, the contractors, as they're out there proposing on a requirement or a task order, and if there's any unforeseen item that's within the scope of that task order, the contractors will be able to submit a proposal back to the contracting officer with an estimated amount to perform that over and above work that's within the scope of that current task order. So that is one element that we are going to add to UMCS 5. In addition to firm fixed price, is the ability for over and above work as contractors are performing and they. Yeah, so as I stated, we will have the ability for over and above work as defined in DFARS PGI 217.77, and then we also will have firm fixed price. And again, the reference for the over and above work is DFARS PGI 217.77. The next question, is there any level of security clearances required? As Matthew mentioned earlier, at the MATOC level or the base level, there won't be any security requirements that will have to be provided to be awarded a contract under the MATOC. However, there is a possibility that there can be some at the task order level. Next question, does the government anticipate holding any follow-on industry days / events on this procurement prior to the release of the final RFP? At this time, this will be the only industry day format that we will have. We are looking into possibly doing a pre-proposal conference after the solicitation is issued, but that is still up in the air with this being the 5th generation contract. But there will not be another industry day, but again, there may be a pre-proposal conference after the solicitation has been released.
And I think as one of the opening slides earlier, we discussed that we would make the participants in this meeting that registered for that available. I believe LaShonda had stated that we were putting this out on FedBizOps, and we were additionally going to post the audio of this meeting that's overlaid with the PDF slides that we're going through today, that we're going to make that available. It'll either be through FedBizOps or on our Facebook, the HNC Facebook page. So I'm getting the nod that it's just FedBizOps that is going to be posted.
Next question, what is the goal dollar value reserved for small businesses? At this time, we have not determined what that estimated capacity will be for the small business set-aside portion, but that will be included in the solicitation, the amount of capacity that will be set aside specifically for those small businesses. Next question, do you have a breakdown of awards from UMCS 4 by NAICS codes or solicitation type? The NAICS code for the task orders for under UMCS 4 did not change. It was the same NAICS code that will be for this acquisition. And the majority of the contract types under UMCS 4 have been firm fixed price. Next question, is there an anticipated contract ceiling at this time? The estimated capacity or contract ceiling for the MATOC 5 or Generation 5 or UMCS will be $2.75 billion. Next question. For small businesses, can we subcontract with other companies, small or large, in the areas that are out of our established geographic regions?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, you can subcontract with other small or large businesses. However, small businesses still have to perform that 51%.
If they're in that pool.
If you're in the small business set-aside portion of the pool. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, hey, this is Nicole. I'm out of the small business office. I just wanted to note there's been a nuance in some of our regulation. If you are a small business and you sub with another small business, that counts towards your 51%. The limitation in subcontracting clause. So that's something to know. But to answer the question, you absolutely can sub with another one. Do note again, though, that limitation in subcontracting comes into play if you're in that restricted portion. Again, we have not established all those boundaries yet. We're still in market research. But yes, to answer your question generally.
Next question. Is the UMCS 4 on-ramp RFP coming out? If yes, when? One thing under the UMCS 4 is stated that the government will survey the market to determine if an on-ramp is feasible. So at this time, it is not anticipated that we will be doing an on-ramp for UMCS 4. So no on-ramp for UMCS 4 at this time. Okay. Next question. Will the prime contractors be required to have an office within a specified distance of CEHNC, and that's the Corps of Engineers here in Huntsville, Alabama? No, there is no requirement that states that the prime contractor will have to have an office close to our building. You can be wherever your home office is. Next question. Matthew mentioned earlier in slide 13 about automated control to increase the efficiency of utility usage by facilities. Are these facilities already using technology that are efficient, or are you looking for vendors that can provide this type of technology?
All of the above. I believe you'll run into situations that have no controls whatsoever. Some have outdated controls. Some have ones that are installed that just aren't working properly. So really you could run into any of those types of scenarios that are mentioned, and we're looking for vendors that can meet any of those types of needs. Chris, anything else? True. Okay.
Next question. Will this contract be CAS compliant? No, this acquisition will not fall under the requirements to have a cost account or an approved or modified cost accounting system. That it will not be applicable to this acquisition. Next question. Do you anticipate that task orders will be SCA, or will there be construction, Davis-Bacon wage determinations requiring bonding? Both. There's a possibility that the task orders can be SCA or DBA covered services.
And that's what's one of the unique things about this MATOC is that it's hybrid. It can do services, it can do construction, it can do a combination thereof. So for each requirement that comes in, we do an evaluation of the requirement, and based on that determination, we incorporate the correct wage rates or the appropriate wage rates, bid bonds, whatever is associated, whether it's considered construction or services.
Next question. Are you looking for small businesses who are only SBA certified, or can they be self-certified too? In the system for award management, Sam, that Nicole mentioned earlier, in that system, offers are self-certifying that they're a small business. The only SBA certification or certified certification would be if a company is an 8A, and we would look for that if we're doing an 8A set-aside. But for the sake of right now, in response to this question for this acquisition, we would be looking at how companies self-certified in the system for award management for this acquisition. Next question. Is there a way to find out which systems within which agency or are currently in need of energy efficient technology to manage facilities?
We're not aware of a single system that has that type of visibility of all the individual systems that are out there, and the status of those systems, how efficient those are. Those are typically done at the installation level. If there are potentially some sort of headquarters level system that reaches out into the installation, say if the National Guard or IMCOM or something else had that capability, I think that's maybe where the question's going, but as far as the overall efficiency of those systems out there, I do not, or I'm not aware of something to that effect.
Okay, next question. Is any of the existing UMCS 4 contractors an 8A company? Right. Well, the question is no. There was a total small business set aside. So if it's a total small business set aside, they could potentially be an 8A, but at this time, I'm not thinking there are any 8A contractors under UMCS 4. There is none. It's been verified there are none.
And it's not applicable in this case. A small business, if you're 8A, you are a small business, and that's what our concern is, those primes that are small businesses.
Next part of that question. With $2.75 billion available, 13 contractors does not seem to be enough to allow small businesses to get awarded. Is there going to be a small business competition and a separated, unrestricted competition? As we stated earlier, at this time, we don't know or have an expected number of contract awardees that we plan to award to. And with this being a 7-year ordering period with a $2.75 billion capacity, we added in the ability for on-ramping to make sure that we do have robust competition throughout this 7-year ordering period. The $2.75 billion capacity will be shared among all contract awardees, both small and large. A portion of that $2.75 billion will be split for the small business set-aside portion that will be under the MATOC. So it'll be a full and open competition requirement with a small business set-aside portion. So the total value, the $2.75 billion, is shared among all awardees, but there will be, out of that $2.75 billion, a capacity amount just for those small businesses under that small business set-aside. For instance, if there is a requirement that we're going to set aside for that small business section or set-aside, that will go to those offers only. However, those small businesses can also compete on the full unrestricted task orders that come out not under that set-aside portion.
And we want to make sure there's no confusion on the 2.75 that's available. That does not mean that all offerers will be getting that. That is no guarantee. That is a competition. So that's for the work. So we're not saying that if we have 13 contractors, we divide that amount evenly among those or evenly among that portion, that dollar value that's set in the small business pool. It is a competed effort. So that is a shared capacity among the contract pool of offers, not a guarantee of that amount of money.
Next question. Are you looking for small businesses only? No, as we stated earlier, this will be a full and open, which means it's open to both large and small businesses. However, under that small business set-aside portion, that will be for small businesses only, but it is full and open. Next question, I skipped a question that stated, are teaming opportunities allowed? Yes, under this acquisition, there will be the opportunity to team with other contractors, and that can be via a joint venture agreement, a mentor-protege agreement, and also contractors can utilize the experience from their subcontractors that are considered key subcontractors via a letter of commitment, or utilize personnel from a subcontractor, which is considered a key subcontractor, with a letter of commitment from both that company and that personnel from that subcontractor. So there will be the opportunity for teaming under this acquisition. Let's see. Next question. Does CE Agency utilize a centralized approved equipment/material list for the products to be utilized in support of this contract, or is that left up to the contractor?
There's not an existing approved products list. We're looking for complete technical solutions brought at the task order level for the need or the requirement at the site.
Next question. Will there be any hub zone set-asides? At this time, we do not anticipate doing a hub zone set-aside. We do anticipate just doing a total small business set-aside, in which hub zones can propose to participate under that set-aside. All small businesses can propose to participate under that small business set-aside portion. So no hub zone specific set-aside, but there will be a small business set-aside for all small business social and economic categories. Next question. If small business set-aside applies to installation or construction project, would required participation be 15% or 51%? Yes. So with this being a service contract, just keep in mind that construction is incidental to this contract. But if it is a construction task order, small businesses will be subject to self-performing 15% for that construction task order if there is one under this requirement. Next question. Will the companies responding need to be capable of supporting all mission areas on slide 10 to be selected, or will you entertain companies that specialize in just a few? Yeah, so under this requirement, and Matt, these are all the requirements under UMCS, correct? On slide 10.
Yes, those are UMCS types of requirements.
Yes. So the requirements that will be listed in the solicitation, contractors will have to demonstrate that they have the capability to perform the requirements listed in the solicitation and the performance work statement.
And typically, like for UMCS 4, I believe, was there a sample task for ESS and for UMCS and for meeting? Those are the types of things we're looking for in the proposal response. And presumably, UMCS 5 would be structured in somewhat similarly fashioned.
I have one more question, just one moment. In case of teaming, security clearance for facility must be acquired by all members of team or only the prime member. That will be at a case-by-case basis, but as we mentioned earlier, that will not be a requirement to be on the MATOC or the base or to be awarded a contract for the MATOC, but that will it could potentially be a requirement at the task order level, but that will not be a requirement to be awarded a contract at the base level. And for the specifics of your question, that will be a case-by-case basis.
But typically, even at the task order level, it is the prime that we're concerned primarily with.
Next question, will you award UMCS and ESS system providers separately, or do firms need to have both capabilities? The majority of this contract is for UMCS. Under the Electronic Technologies Program, there is an ESS MATOC. However, as some of the systems are similar, some of the scopes of both of those MATOCs kind of overlap. However, this requirement is for UMCS, but again, the scopes of ESS, UMCS, and metering, some areas of those scopes overlap.
And UMCS and metering are very, very intertwined. ESS still has many controls associated with its very, very electronic technology centric with the type of equipment that's installed. But one of the things of having the ability to, on our UMCS MATOC, to have ESS and vice versa for the ESS MATOC to have UMCS controls is that allows us to cover any gap in ordering periods or capacity constraints that we may potentially run into. Some vendors out there have the ability to perform both types of work. So there are many similarities between the two, but as you can tell by the focus of most of the slides in this presentation, the UMCS and metering portion is really the primary focus for the key users and capacity on this vehicle, with kind of secondary support on the ESS side.
Next question. Let's see. On the general information, you mentioned that minimum CUI applies, but also you mentioned CNA. Is the CNA limited in scope? For the person that submitted the question concerning CUI and CUA, can you clarify or expound on that question?
Looks like Aziz Hafid asked the question, not sure if they are currently online.
I was reading the general information submitted, and there is some requirement that says the minimum CUI applies, and he also mentioned that some of the models or some of the specific task order might require CNA process. That's what I was asking that question.
Was it on one of the slides that we just went through, or was it on some additional information that went out through FedBizOps?
Additional information that went out.
Oh, through FedBizOps. Well, Shonda, do you know that off the top of your head? But we'll have to get back with you on that one.
Okay.
We'll take that as a message.
Since this is a fifth generation contract, is it possible to get a list of the incumbents from the last 3 years? If we send an email?
Yes, that's something we can provide. How do you want to put that out? I guess if you could submit that as a question.
I had technical difficulties, so I'm just on the phone. So can I just submit it to the question?
Yes, please do. Please do that. That would be great.
Thank you.
Next question: can being an awardee be sufficient for getting the 254 facility clearance versus being required to have the clearance based upon other DoD work?
Yeah, based on the task order.
The answer to that would be no. We have to have the actual requirement to be able to move forward to sponsor that 254 facility clearance. It's requirement generated, so we won't issue that just because you are awarded a base contract on this MATOC.
Next question: is there going to be a place for contractors desiring teaming to list? The people that responded, or the companies that responded to register for this industry day, we will post those companies on fbo.gov. However, if you wish for your company's name not to be posted, or a POC for your company not to be posted on fbo.gov, please send an email to the UMCS email inbox. We will not post your information. However, we do plan on posting the information to fbo.gov. Also, under the fbo.gov announcement, there is a place to where there's a tab where you can state that you're interested in this acquisition. And I assume other contractors can see that you stated that you're interested in this acquisition, so they will be able to see other companies that are interested. So there may be another opportunity to go to fbo.gov to state your interest under this requirement.
Hi, this is Deb Malone. I have a question.
Okay.
So the M&S IDIQ, which is a base plus 4 one-year options, that's of course a separate IDIQ contract, is due to expire, I believe, in December of this year. So given that there's M&S scope on the UMCS IDIQ, will the M&S IDIQ be expiring without a new solicitation?
We're currently in the process of doing the follow-on or preparing for the follow-on for the M&S acquisition. That source of salt should come out within the next 2 weeks. However, this UMCS requirement is not a part of that M&S acquisition. So any maintenance and services will be performed under this UMCS 5 acquisition for the UMCS program.
This program, UMCS metering, is not included in that follow-on maintenance and service task order that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Or the contract, rather.
Yes. So that will not be included in the follow-on M&S MATOC.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Okay, so at this time, I just want to give some final housekeeping rules. We request that if you have any additional questions, you send them to the UMCS email inbox. The responses given today during our industry day, they are subject to change. We are going to send out final responses to fbo.gov. We plan, or it's anticipated that we plan to have those responses to the questions submitted by the 10th of April, and we request that if you have any additional questions prior to the 10th of April, that you submit those to us by the 6th of April so that we can respond timely for the Q&As. As we stated earlier, we're also going to be posting the slides from the presentation today. We're going to send out a survey this afternoon to all of the contractors that register for the Industry Day, because we really want to get your feedback on the format for the virtual web meeting. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties that we had earlier, but we were trying to have a mechanism that allowed contractors to provide an industry day for contractors without having contractors spend money to come to one central location for that industry day. So we're trying to have cost savings for both the government and the contractors, and allow for maximum participation from contractors, small and large, for this acquisition. And we actually really got robust competition or interest in the virtual industry day, so we're really excited about that. It was almost 200 or 300 contractors that registered, so that was very impressive. We're very excited about that. But with those surveys that LaShonda is going to send out, we really do request that you provide honest and candid feedback on this industry day, because we want to, if it's not working, we don't want to keep doing it for our other acquisitions, because we do plan on trying to do more virtual industry days. So we really do want your honest feedback on this format. And anything else that we mentioned today in regards to the UMCS 5 acquisition, we would greatly appreciate your feedback. Let's see. LaShonda, do you have anything? Again, we would like to thank you for registering to participate in this virtual industry day for the UMCS acquisition. We again thank you for your patience in us getting set up for the virtual industry day. If you have any additional questions or concerns, please contact LaShonda Smith. Now, let me just say one more thing. During the market research phase, the acquisition is kind of open for feedback and buy-in, but once we get to that procurement stage, LaShonda Smith and myself, Raven Nall, are going to be your main points of contact for this acquisition. If you have any questions about the UMCS 4 acquisition, you can relate those questions to Susan Parsons. She's the Postal Board Contracting Officer for the Electronic Technologies Program, which covers UMCS, ESS, and metering. And for pre-award, we're set up different. We do the follow-on acquisition. So from that point on, we request that you do not contact anybody from the program side regarding UMCS 5, but you contact LaShonda Smith or the UMCS 5 email inbox for any questions or concerns regarding the US 5 acquisition. Anything for UMCS 4, you can contact Susan Parsons, but anything moving forward for UMCS 5, we request that you go through LaShonda or the UMCS email inbox, just so we want to make sure that we keep the procurement integrity of this acquisition intact. We don't want to have any issues with procurement integrity, so we request that you respect and adhere to those rules and policies. Again, thank you for your time here today. We really appreciate it. And again, if you have any additional questions, feel free to contact LaShonda, myself, or the UMCS 5 inbox. Thank you.